The sleek alien vessel gleamed under Earth's summer sun, its polished surface reflecting the gathered crowd of military personnel and government officials. Colonel Jai Kim shifted uncomfortably in his dress uniform, sweat trickling down his back despite the cooling systems working overtime. This was humanity's big moment. First contact with the Galactic Council's diplomatic delegation. The landing pad at the newly constructed Terran Space Command buzzed with nervous energy. Security teams tried to look both alert and non-threatening, their weapons deliberately holstered but within easy reach. Colonel Kim had personally selected each member of the welcoming committee, including the young Lieutenant Han, who had an impressive record of diplomatic missions on Earth. The alien ship's entry ramp descended with a soft hiss, revealing 3 tall, willowy figures. Their iridescent robes sparkled as they glided down toward the human delegation. The lead alien, who had introduced itself as the High Representative, stood nearly 8 feet tall with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. "Greetings, primitive species," the High Representative's translator buzzed. "We come to welcome you into the enlightened embrace of the Galactic Council. Your quaint attempts at spacefaring have not gone unnoticed, and we have decided to grant you the privilege of our guidance." Colonel Kim felt his jaw tighten, but maintained his diplomatic smile. Next to him, Lieutenant Han shifted slightly, and Kim could practically feel the young officer's growing irritation. The High Representative continued, its voice becoming increasingly condescending. "Your species has shown remarkable progress, considering your obvious limitations. Under our superior civilization's guidance, you may eventually rise above your current savage state." "Yeah, right," Lieutenant Han muttered, just loud enough for the alien's sensitive hearing to pick up. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The High Representative's silvery skin flushed a deep purple, its translator emitting a high-pitched screech of outrage. "How dare you question our superiority? This is unprecedented insolence." Before Colonel Kim could intervene, the alien delegation's security systems activated. Shimmering force fields erupted around them, and what they had claimed were ceremonial staffs transformed into energy weapons. "This species is clearly too barbaric for inclusion in the Galactic Council," the High Representative declared, firing a warning shot that left a smoking crater in the landing pad. Chaos erupted as security teams rushed to protect the human officials. Colonel Kim grabbed Lieutenant Han and dove behind a concrete barrier just as energy bolts began flying in all directions. The aliens, apparently unfamiliar with the concept of proportional response, were now treating the sarcastic comment as an act of war. "With all due respect, sir," Lieutenant Han shouted over the chaos. "They started it." Kim couldn't argue with that logic as he watched the alien delegation retreat to their ship, still firing randomly at the human installations. Their parting message, broadcast across all frequencies, declared Earth a quarantine zone of dangerous primitives. In the smoking aftermath, as medical teams treated minor injuries and damage control units assessed the situation, General Park arrived on the scene. The general surveyed the destruction with an expression that mixed frustration with something that looked surprisingly like amusement. "So," General Park said, helping Colonel Kim to his feet, "it seems our first attempt at galactic diplomacy ended with us being labeled as dangerous primitives because we didn't show proper respect to our superiors." He actually made air quotes around the last word. "Sir, I take full responsibility for Lieutenant Han's," Kim began, but General Park waved him off. "Don't bother, Colonel. I've read the transcripts. They came here expecting us to bow and scrape, and when we didn't, they threw what amounts to a cosmic temper tantrum." The general's eyes took on a calculating look. "Maybe it's time we showed them just how primitive we can be." Over the next few days, as Earth's government scrambled to respond to the diplomatic disaster, General Park called a series of classified meetings. Colonel Kim found himself involved in increasingly bizarre planning sessions, as it became clear that conventional military responses wouldn't work against adversaries with such advanced technology. "We need to think outside the box," General Park announced during one late-night session. They expect us to either cower in fear or respond with brute force. So we'll do neither. We'll create a new kind of military unit, one that specializes in the unexpected, the unconventional, the purely human ability to be absolutely unpredictable. And so the Fukoff Force was born. Its name, officially an acronym for Flexible Unconventional Kinetic Operations Force, was selected with deliberate irreverence. Colonel Kim was appointed as its first field commander, with Lieutenant Han, whose sarcasm had inadvertently sparked its creation, as his second in command. Our mission, General Park told the first group of recruits, is to protect Earth by being the biggest pain in the ass the galaxy has ever seen. We might not have their technology, but we have something better. We have creativity, unpredictability, and a complete willingness to ignore the rules of civilized warfare. As Colonel Kim watched his new unit take shape, he couldn't help but smile. The aliens had expected to find primitive savages, and instead, they were about to face something far worse. Humans who had been given official permission to be as creatively annoying as possible. The Fukoff Force's first base of operations was established in an abandoned shopping mall, complete with a food court that now served as their tactical planning center. It was exactly the kind of location that alien surveillance would overlook, which made it perfect for their purposes. As Kim studied the profiles of his newly assembled team, hackers, pranksters, social media experts, and unconventional warfare specialists, he realized that this might be exactly what humanity needed. The Galactic Council had made a crucial mistake. They had underestimated humanity's capacity for creative chaos. "Sir," Lieutenant Han said, interrupting his thoughts, "the training simulations are ready. Should we begin?" Colonel Kim nodded, watching as his unusual army prepared for their first exercises. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. They had expected Earth to respond with either submission or conventional warfare. Instead, they were about to face something unprecedented in galactic history. Humans who had been officially ordered to think outside the box. The war for Earth's place in the galaxy was about to begin, and it would be fought with weapons the aliens would never see coming. Captain Sun Lee sipped her coffee while watching the chaos unfold on the training grounds through reinforced windows. The former shopping mall's parking lot had been transformed into what looked like a deranged game show, set designed by someone who'd had too much caffeine and access to military surplus equipment. Private Dai was currently hanging upside down from a modified jungle gym, typing frantically on a tablet while reciting the solutions to complex physics problems. Around him, holographic projections of alien diplomatic messages needed to be translated into memes within 30 seconds, or he'd get sprayed with cold water. "Your differential equation is correct, but your meme game is weak, Private," Captain Lee called through the intercom. "The aliens won't surrender if you can't even make them laugh." On the other side of the course, Sergeant Moon was teaching a group of new recruits her specialized technique for hacking alien computer systems. Her workstation was surrounded by screens displaying an endless stream of cat videos, while takeout menus from every restaurant within 50 miles were scattered across her desk. "The key is confusion," Moon explained to her wide-eyed students. "Alien AI systems are designed to detect and counter traditional hacking attempts, but they have no defense against a system that simultaneously transmits pictures of cats in bread, orders 17 different types of pizza, and runs complex encryption algorithms based on fortune cookie messages." Captain Lee smiled as she watched the newest batch of recruits trying to wrap their heads around the Fukoff Force's unconventional training methods. Traditional military discipline hadn't been abandoned entirely. It had just been twisted into something new and distinctly human. The observation deck wasn't empty. Several alien representatives, who had been granted limited access to observe Earth's military development, stood watching with expressions that ranged from confusion to horror. Their silvery skin had taken on various shades of purple and green as they struggled to comprehend what they were seeing. "Captain," one of the aliens addressed Lee, its translator struggling to maintain a neutral tone, "we fail to understand the military application of what appears to be entertainment." Before Lee could respond, An alarm blared through the facility. The training course suddenly shifted, panels sliding and obstacles rearranging. Private Day smoothly transitioned from his upside-down position into a forward roll, never stopping his calculations. Sergeant Moon's team instantly switched from casual banter to coordinated action, their seemingly random computer activities coalescing into a synchronized cyber assault. Within minutes, they had detected, countered, and disabled a simulated alien invasion force, all while still sharing cat videos and completing takeout orders. That, Captain Lee said to the stunned alien observers, is the point. Your military forces expect structure, discipline, and predictable responses. You can't predict what you don't understand, and you definitely don't understand us. The training continued throughout the day. Recruits learned to combine parkour with quantum mechanics, practiced psychological warfare through strategic use of dad jokes, and mastered the art of turning bureaucratic paperwork into an offensive weapon. Remember, Lee called out to her troops, confusion is our ally. If you understand what you're doing, you're probably doing it wrong. The alien observers had long since given up trying to take notes. Their attempts to classify and categorize human training methods had resulted in several crashed tablets and one minor mental breakdown. As the day drew to a close, Captain Lee gathered her troops for debriefing in what had once been the mall's food court. The smell of various Earth cuisines wafted through the air, another deliberate choice, as food had proven to be surprisingly effective in disrupting alien concentration. Good work today, people, she announced. Special mention goes to Private Da for successfully solving the quantum mechanics problem while creating a viral meme about the Galactic Council's dress code. And Sergeant Moon's team has set a new record for most alien systems confused by synchronized cat videos. The alien observers had retreated to their designated area, huddling together and muttering in their native language. Their confusion was exactly what the Fukoff force was aiming for. Lee reviewed the day's training data on her tablet. The results were promising. Reaction times were improving, creative solutions were becoming more instinctive, and the ability to multitask between the absurd and the tactical was reaching new heights. Tomorrow, she announced to her troops, we'll be introducing the new Dancing Through Diplomacy program. I expect everyone to be prepared to negotiate peace treaties while performing interpretive dance. The humans cheered. The aliens whimpered. As the recruits filed out, Captain Lee noticed Private Da lingering behind. Something on your mind, Private? Ma'am, he said, standing at attention while absent-mindedly solving a Rubik's Cube behind his back. Do you think this will really work when we actually face hostile aliens? Lee smiled. Private, do you know why I was chosen to run this training program? Because I understand that in a galaxy full of species that have been doing things the same way for millennia, our greatest weapon is their inability to comprehend why we do anything the way we do it. She gestured to the bizarre obstacle course visible through the windows. Every laugh, every meme, every moment of confusion we create is another crack in their understanding of warfare. They can't defeat what they can't predict, and humans are nothing if not unpredictable. Private Dai nodded, finally cracking a smile. Permission to test my new theory about using interpretive dance to explain thermonuclear physics, ma'am. Permission granted, Private. Just try not to break the space-time continuum this time. The paperwork for reality breaches is a nightmare. As Captain Lee watched her recruit bounce away, already practicing his dance moves, she couldn't help but feel proud. The Fukoff force might not be what anyone expected from a military unit, but that was exactly the point. In a galaxy that took itself too seriously, they were humanity's answer to the question no one had thought to ask. What happens when you combine military precision with pure, unrestrained human chaos? The answer, as the increasingly distressed alien observers were learning, was something both beautiful and terrifying to behold. The massive Centaurian warship loomed over Earth's colony on New Eden, its weapon systems charged and ready to obliterate the settlement below. Inside the colony's defense command center, Major Hume calmly straightened his tie and adjusted his reading glasses. "Send them the first wave," he ordered, his voice steady as he watched the massive screens displaying the hostile fleet. Lieutenant Jin, seated at her station surrounded by stacks of paperwork, grinned as she hit the transmit button. "Deploying Form XJ789B, sir." Initial bureaucratic offensive commencing. The effect was almost immediate. The Centaurian fleet's aggressive approach suddenly halted as their communication systems were flooded with an 800-page document written entirely in Comic Sans font. The form, titled Preliminary Application for Hostile Action Permit, Standard Version, was a masterpiece of bureaucratic warfare. "Sir, they're attempting to decode the document," one of the analysts reported, trying to suppress a laugh. "Their AI systems are struggling with the concept of required fields marked with an asterisk." Major Yoon nodded, satisfaction evident in his expression. "Send them the appendices." Lieutenant Jin's fingers flew over her keyboard. "Deploying supplementary forms A through Z, sir. All in triplicate, with randomly highlighted sections requiring notarization by a minimum of 7 different species authorities." The Centaurian fleet's formation began to show signs of confusion. Their perfectly aligned attack pattern dissolved as ship commanders attempted to make sense of the bureaucratic assault. The main screen showed their vessels moving in increasingly erratic patterns. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Centaurian flagship," announced the communications officer. The alien commander appeared on screen, its tentacled face showing signs of distress. "What is the meaning of this? We demand an explanation for Section 47. Subsection C, Paragraph 12, which requires a detailed history of our species' tax filing procedures for the last 3 centuries. Major Yoon adjusted his glasses again, the picture of bureaucratic authority. "I'm afraid that's a required field, Commander. We cannot process your invasion request without proper documentation. Also, please note that all forms must be filled out in black ink only. No digital signatures accepted." The alien commander's tentacles writhed in frustration. "This is absurd. We are here to conquer your colony." "I understand your position," Yoon replied smoothly, "but without the properly filed intention to conquer forms, ICF 925/B through ICF 925/X, we cannot legally acknowledge your invasion attempt. Additionally, you'll need to submit an environmental impact statement regarding any planned orbital bombardment." Behind him, Lieutenant Jin's team was already preparing the next wave. They had discovered early in the war that most alien species, despite their advanced technology, were completely unprepared for human-level bureaucracy. Their societies, focused on efficiency and logical progression, had no defense against the deliberate inefficiency of paperwork. "Major," Lieutenant Jin called out, "they're attempting to bypass the form submission process by launching a cyber attack. Deploy the Terms and Conditions defense," Yoon ordered calmly. The Centaurian fleet's computer systems were immediately flooded with a 1,500-page Terms and Conditions agreement, complete with randomly placed checkboxes and a requirement to initial every page. Their advanced AI systems, attempting to process the document, began showing signs of severe confusion. "Sir, their lead ships are starting to power down," reported the tactical officer. "It appears their systems are crashing while trying to comprehend our return policy section." Major Yoon allowed himself a small smile. The Fukoff Forces Department of Bureaucratic Warfare had spent months perfecting their weapons. Every form was designed to be just plausible enough to seem necessary while being completely impossible to actually complete. "Send them the insurance claim forms," he ordered, "and make sure to include the clause about pre-existing conditions in their invasion plans." The Centaurian fleet was now in complete disarray. Several ships had their systems locked in endless loops trying to calculate the correct number of copies needed for each form. Others were desperately trying to locate notaries certified in both human and Centaurian legal systems. The alien commander reappeared on screen, looking decidedly less threatening. "Please, we just want to invade your colony. Why are you requiring us to provide 3 forms of identification and proof of address from the last 5 years? I apologize for any inconvenience, Major Yoon replied, his voice dripping with professional courtesy. But these are standard procedures. Perhaps you'd like to schedule an appointment to discuss your invasion plans. Our next available slot is in approximately 8 to 10 business months. The final blow came when Lieutenant Jin deployed their secret weapon, the request for extension of hostile action timeline form, which paradoxically required approval before it could be submitted for consideration. Within hours, the mighty Centaurian fleet retreated, their commanders broken by the sheer weight of human bureaucracy. Their parting message was a desperate plea to never send them paperwork again. As the threat subsided, Major Yoon gathered his team for a debriefing. Excellent work, everyone. Lieutenant Jin, your idea to include a mandatory survey about their invasion experience was particularly inspired. Thank you, sir, Jin replied proudly. I learned from the best. Nothing defeats an advanced alien civilization quite like requiring them to fill out feedback forms in quintuplicate. As they celebrated their bloodless victory, Major Yoon couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Humanity had spent centuries complaining about bureaucracy, only to discover it was their most effective weapon against alien aggression. Sir, Lieutenant Jin asked as they wrapped up, should we prepare the tax forms for next time? Major Yoon's eyes gleamed with bureaucratic malice. Lieutenant, I believe it's time to introduce the galaxy to the concept of annual audits. The war would continue, but as long as the Fukoff Forces Department of Bureaucratic Warfare had paper and ink, Earth's colonies would remain safe behind their wall of red tape. Commander Song sat in her command chair, surrounded by screens filled with what appeared to be complete nonsense to any outside observer. Cat pictures with misspelled captions, ancient rage comics, and deliberately cursed images floated across her displays, while Specialist Kang and her team worked furiously at their stations. The Arcturus Collective, a highly advanced telepathic species that had been threatening Earth's outer colonies, had no idea what was about to hit them. Status report on Operation Dank Defense, Commander Song called out, trying to keep a straight face as she reviewed a particularly absurd image macro. The first wave is ready, Commander, Specialist Kang responded, her fingers dancing across her keyboard. We've prepared a focused burst of early 2020s meme culture, starting with cats demanding cheeseburgers and escalating to deep-fried philosophical questions about beans. The Situation Room of the Fukoff Forces Mimetic Warfare Division looked more like a teenager's bedroom than a military command center. The walls were covered in printed memes, each carefully selected for maximum cognitive impact against telepathic species. The air smelled faintly of energy drinks and determination. The Arcturus fleet is within range, reported Lieutenant Park from the tactical station. Their telepathic scanners are active and attempting to read our surface thoughts. Commander Song smiled. This was exactly what they had been waiting for. Begin transmission. Let's show them what human creativity can do to a hive mind. Specialist Kang initiated the upload sequence. The first wave of memes hit the Arcturus fleet's telepathic network like a sledgehammer of pure confusion. Images of cats in business attire making nonsensical financial decisions flooded their collective consciousness. Sir, we're detecting signs of confusion in their fleet formation, Lieutenant Park announced. Their ships are starting to drift out of alignment. The Arcturus Collective, used to the ordered, logical thoughts of their own kind, had no defense against the chaos of human internet humor. Their telepathic network, designed to share clear, coherent thoughts, was being overwhelmed by pictures of frogs on unicycles and incomprehensible text about Wednesday being the day of amphibians. Deploy the second wave, Commander Song ordered. Release the cursed images. Specialist Kang's team launched their carefully curated collection of deliberately unsettling images, photos of things that looked almost right but were subtly wrong in ways that grew more disturbing the longer you looked at them. The effect on the Arcturus fleet was immediate and devastating. Their perfectly synchronized movement patterns dissolved into chaos as their hive mind tried to process images that defied logical explanation. "Commander," called out Ensign Lee from the monitoring station, "we're picking up distress signals from their flagship. They're demanding we stop transmitting cognitively harmful nonsense into their network." "Send them the Rickroll," Commander Song replied with a wicked grin. The classic video, weaponized with modern mimetic enhancements, was broadcast directly into the Arcturus collective consciousness. The aliens, with no cultural context for the phenomenon, were completely unprepared for the experience of being rickrolled. "Their lead ships are starting to retreat," Lieutenant Park reported, trying to suppress his laughter. "The collective can't maintain coherence under the assault of what they're calling primitive thought viruses." Commander Song stood up, watching with satisfaction as the mighty Arcturus fleet began to withdraw. "Time to finish this. Specialist Kang, deploy our secret weapon." Kang's eyes widened. "The loss edit, sir. Are you sure? That's some dangerous memetics. Do it. Their hive mind needs to learn that some human concepts simply cannot be understood." The iconic four-panel comic, twisted and abstracted beyond recognition, yet somehow still maintaining its fundamental lostness, was transmitted directly into the Arcturus collective consciousness. The result was spectacular. Their entire fleet simultaneously experienced what could only be described as a blue screen of death for telepathic beings. "Sir, they're broadcasting a surrender message," Ensign Lee announced. "They're begging us to stop sending them incomprehensible thought patterns that violate the laws of mental geometry." Commander Song nodded solemnly. "Send them one final message. A Doge meme saying much surrender, very peace. Wow." As the Arcturus fleet retreated in disarray, the command center erupted in cheers. Specialist Kang's team had proven that in the age of interstellar warfare, the strongest weapon wasn't always the biggest gun. Sometimes it was a perfectly timed meme that made absolutely no sense. "Well done, everyone," Commander Song addressed her crew. "Today we've proven that millions of years of human shitposting wasn't just killing time. It was combat training." Later, during the debriefing, Specialist Kang approached Commander Song with a concerned look. "Sir, do you think we went too far with the loss edit? The Geneva Convention never covered mimetic warfare." Song shook her head. "Kang, in a galaxy full of species that communicate through pure logic and ordered thought, our greatest defense is our ability to create and understand things that make absolutely no sense. That's not a weapon. It's just who we are." As they reviewed the battle footage, Commander Song couldn't help but feel proud. The Fukoff Force's Mimetic Warfare Division had taken humanity's strange online culture and turned it into a shield protecting Earth's colonies. In a universe of advanced civilizations, humanity's most powerful weapon turned out to be its ability to find humor in chaos. "Sir," Specialist Kang called out as they were wrapping up, "should we begin preparing the next phase? I have some ideas involving deep-fried philosophy, memes combined with pictures of bread stapled to trees." Commander Song smiled. "Specialist, I believe it's time to show the galaxy why humans should never be allowed unrestricted access to image editing software." The meme war would continue, but Earth had found its edge. In a galaxy of logic and order, sometimes the best defense was a perfectly timed bottom text. Steam rose from the freshly brewed espresso as Captain Ho carefully placed the cup in front of the Rigelian ambassador. The alien's four eyes dilated at the mere aroma, its scaled skin taking on a slight purple tinge of anticipation. "Our finest Arabica blend, Your Excellency," Captain Ho said smoothly, watching as the ambassador's trembling appendages reached for the small cup. "Prepared exactly the way you prefer, triple shot, with a hint of caramel." The coffee shop, cleverly named Starbrews, Diplomatic Edition, was strategically located in the heart of the Galactic Council's primary space station. Its interior looked exactly like any Earth coffee shop, complete with soft lighting, comfortable seating, and the constant hiss of espresso machines. Dr. Min sat in her usual corner, pretending to work on her tablet while actually recording the ambassador's reaction to the latest blend. Her research had revolutionized Earth's diplomatic strategy when she discovered that human coffee acted as a powerful but harmless psychoactive substance for most alien species. The Regellian ambassador took a careful sip, all four eyes closing in obvious pleasure. "Remarkable," the alien's translator hummed. "Simply remarkable." About those trade negotiations we were discussing. Captain Ho maintained his professional demeanor, though inside he was grinning. The ambassador had arrived 2 hours ago, demanding reduced tariffs on Earth goods. Now, 3 espressos later, the alien was practically offering to pay Earth to take their resources. "Perhaps another cup while we discuss the details," Ho suggested innocently. At a nearby table, a group of Centaurian diplomats were on their 5th round of lats, their tentacles wrapped contentedly around their oversized mugs. They had been threatening war last week. Now they were arguing about which Earth coffee blend was superior. Dr. Min's tablet beeped softly as it recorded another successful diplomatic conversion. Her initial discovery had been almost accidental. A spilled cup of coffee during a tense negotiation had led to an unexpectedly agreeable alien representative. "Captain," she called quietly, "you might want to see these readings. The new Brazilian dark roast is showing some interesting effects on their neural patterns." Ho excused himself from the ambassador's table and joined Dr. Min. The data on her screen showed complex wave patterns that meant little to him, but her excitement was clear. "Look at this," she pointed to a particular graph. "The caffeine molecules are binding to their neural receptors in a way that enhances feelings of goodwill and reduces aggressive impulses. It's like a truth serum and mood enhancer combined, but completely natural and perfectly legal." The Fukoff force had immediately recognized the potential of this discovery. Within months, they had established coffee shops at every major diplomatic hub in known space. Each one was staffed by carefully trained baristas, who were actually high-ranking military officers. "Sir," Lieutenant Park, disguised as a barista, called from behind the counter. "The Arcturus delegation just arrived. They're asking about the drink called Frappuccino that their cultural analysts reported on." Captain Ho nodded sagely. The Arcturus Collective, once their fiercest enemies, had been particularly susceptible to frozen coffee drinks. Their telepathic hive mind apparently found the brain freeze sensation fascinating. "Prepare their usual order," he instructed, "and add an extra shot of espresso to each drink. They're here to discuss military base permissions near Earth space." Dr. Min made a note on her tablet. "The extra shot should make them approximately 27% more likely to agree to our proposed limitations." The coffee shop had become Earth's most effective weapon in interstellar politics. No species could resist the allure of perfectly brewed coffee, and none of them seemed to realize that their growing addiction was carefully managed by the Fukoff force. The Regellian ambassador was now humming contentedly, signing trade agreements with one hand while signaling for another espresso with the other. The Centaurians had progressed to discussing the possibility of opening their own coffee shop franchise, unaware that the licensing agreement would give Earth significant influence in their sector. "Captain," Dr. Min whispered urgently, "we have a situation. The Proximan delegation just walked in, and our data shows they've been trying to develop their own coffee plants." Ho's eyes narrowed. The Proximans were known for their attempts to reverse-engineer Earth technologies. "Serve them our special reserve blend, the one with the recipe that changes slightly every time." The Proximan scientists, their crystalline bodies glowing with anticipation, settled at a corner table. Lieutenant Park served them coffee that would drive them mad trying to replicate its complex flavor profile, a security measure developed specifically for such attempts. As the day progressed, more diplomatic crises were solved with carefully calibrated doses of caffeine than had ever been resolved through traditional negotiations. The Fukoff force's coffee shop had become the true center of galactic politics. "Dr. Min," Captain Ho said as they watched another successful negotiation conclude, "do you ever feel guilty about using coffee this way?" She looked up from her tablet, considering the question. Captain, we're not forcing anyone to drink coffee. We're just providing a pleasant environment where species can come together, enjoy a beverage, and find common ground. The fact that it makes them more reasonable is just a bonus." Ho nodded, watching as the Regelian ambassador ordered a bag of coffee beans to take home, complete with a tracking device that would monitor their usage patterns, of course. "Besides," Dr. Min added with a smile, "would you rather we went back to solving disputes with plasma cannons?" The answer was clear as they watched the various alien species chatting amicably over their drinks, former enemies finding common ground in their shared appreciation for Earth's greatest diplomatic tool. "Sir," Lieutenant Park called out, "the Galactic Council's High Representative just made a reservation for tomorrow morning. They're bringing the entire Security Committee." Captain Ho smiled. "Prepare the premium beans, Lieutenant. Tomorrow, we're going to negotiate peace over the perfect cup of coffee." As he watched another day of successful coffee diplomacy wind down, Ho couldn't help but appreciate the irony. In a galaxy full of advanced weapons and sophisticated political systems, Earth had achieved supremacy through something as simple as a well-brewed cup of coffee. The universe, it seemed, ran on caffeine, and the Fukoff force controlled the supply. Colonel Ba stood at the observation deck of Space Station, Freedom Eagle gift shop, watching with barely concealed amusement as the latest batch of alien tourists swarmed through the main shopping concourse. The station, originally designed as a military outpost, now resembled a cross between a theme park and the world's most aggressive souvenir shop. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Choi reported, trying to maintain his military bearing while wearing a Hawaiian shirt and a name tag that read "Your Friendly Earth Guide." "The Proxima battle fleet has just dropped out of hyperspace." "Excellent. Deploy the welcome wagon." Colonel Ba smiled as she watched their defensive strategy unfold. Before the Proxima ships could even power up their weapons, they were bombarded, not with missiles, but with advertisements. Holographic displays lit up the space around their ships, promoting authentic Earth experience, and once-in-a-lifetime sales on genuine human artifacts. The Proxima fleet's aggressive approach faltered as their sensors were overwhelmed with promotional material for the station's gift shops. Their commander's threatening transmission was cut short by an enthusiastic AI sales representative offering a special group discount. "Sir, they're taking the bait," Lieutenant Choi reported. "Their lead ships are requesting docking clearance. The commander is demanding to know more about our limited-time offer on authentic Earth rocks." Colonel Ba nodded with satisfaction. The Fukoff Force's psychological warfare experts had discovered that most alien species were inexplicably fascinated by the most mundane Earth items, especially if they were marked up by 500% and labeled as rare collector's items. The station's main concourse was a masterpiece of tactical retail design. Every shop, every display, every overpriced novelty was carefully positioned to keep alien visitors moving in patterns that prevented them from forming coherent battle plans. "Status report on the new merchandise," Ba asked as she watched the first wave of Proxima warriors enter the shopping area. "I visited Earth, and all I got was this t-shirt. Shirts are selling faster than we can print them," Choi replied. "And the snow globes containing actual Earth air are practically causing riots." The station's crown jewel was the Authentic Human Culture Museum, which was actually a carefully curated collection of garage sale items and dollar store merchandise. Currently, a group of Centaurian scientists were earnestly studying a plastic flamingo lawn ornament, convinced it was a sacred Earth artifact. "Ma'am," a junior officer called out, "the Proxima commander is demanding to speak with you." The alien commander appeared on the nearest screen, its crystalline form glowing with what might have been anger or shopping excitement. "Colonel Ba, explain why my warriors are spending their combat pay on something called mood rings and pet rocks." "Your Excellency," Ba replied smoothly, "we simply thought your noble warriors might appreciate the opportunity to acquire genuine Earth artifacts before beginning any unfortunate hostilities. Did you know we're having a special on dashboard hula dancers? The commander's crystalline structure flickered with interest, despite obvious attempts to maintain a threatening demeanor. These hula dancers, they are authentic representations of Earth culture. Absolutely authentic, Bai assured them, mentally calculating how many battle cruisers they could fund with the profit margin on dollar store items. And if you dock your entire fleet, I'll throw in a complimentary set of fuzzy dice. Lieutenant Choi's department had mastered the art of strategic pricing. Items were marked up just enough to seem valuable, while remaining tantalizingly affordable to alien military budgets. The station's gift shops were generating more revenue than most small planets. In the traditional Earth cuisine food court, alien visitors were paying premium prices for hot dogs and coffee, convinced they were experiencing the height of human gastronomy. The Proxima warriors had already discovered the slushy machines, their crystalline bodies glowing with brain freeze. "Sir," Choi reported, checking his tablet, "the Proxima fleet's weapon systems are powering down. Their crews are requesting shore leave to visit the Lucky Cat Emporium." Colonel Bod watched as the feared Proxima Armada, notorious for their ruthless efficiency in combat, was reduced to excited tourists arguing over the last. "My friend visited Earth, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt in the gift shop." The station's security cameras showed similar scenes throughout. Arcturus telepaths were becoming emotionally attached to bobblehead dolls. Regellian diplomats were hoarding keychains. A group of Centaurian warriors had spent their entire invasion budget on commemorative plates. "Lieutenant," Ba called to Choi, "prepare to deploy the secret weapon." "The discount coupons, sir." "Exactly. But make sure they expire in 24 hours. Nothing motivates an alien fleet like a limited-time offer." As the coupons were distributed, the last vestiges of military discipline among the alien visitors dissolved. The Proxima commander himself was now haggling over the price of a genuine Earth baseball cap, complete with authentic adjustable plastic strap. "Colonel," Choi said quietly, reviewing the day's sales figures, "at this rate, we'll have enough funding for 5 battlecruisers, not just 3. Bai nodded approvingly. "And the best part is, they'll never realize they funded their own defeat. By the time they figure out those rare Earth artifacts came from a dollar store, we'll have the most well-funded defense force in the sector." The station's success had exceeded all expectations. What had started as a desperate plan to distract hostile aliens had evolved into the most profitable military operation in human history. The Fukoff force had discovered that the best way to defeat an enemy was to turn them into customers. "Ma'am," a communications officer called out, "we're receiving requests from 3 more alien fleets for docking permission. They say they heard about our authentic Earth wind chimes collection." Colonel Ba smiled. "Let them come. Lieutenant Choi, prepare the welcome packages, and double the price on the snow globes. Label them as ultra-rare limited edition." As she watched more alien ships approach the station, Bai couldn't help but feel proud. In a galaxy full of advanced weapons and sophisticated battle strategies, humanity had found its greatest defense in the art of overpriced souvenirs and aggressive marketing. The universe, it seemed, was no match for human retail therapy. Supreme Commander General Jai Kim stood before the assembled representatives of the Galactic Council, wearing his meticulously pressed dress uniform adorned with medals that celebrated humanity's most absurd military victories. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, usually a place of solemn dignity, now hosted an unusual ceremony, the formal recognition of Earth's Fukoff force as a legitimate military power. Behind him stood the architects of Earth's unconventional success, Captain Sunli with her chaos theory training programs, Major Yoon clutching his beloved stack of bureaucratic forms, Commander Song still quietly uploading memes to the Galactic Network, Captain Ho subtly serving coffee to the assembled diplomats, and Colonel Bai handling gift shop receipts that could fund a small fleet. In recognition of Earth's unique contributions to galactic peacekeeping, the High Representative announced, their translator struggling to find appropriate words, We hereby acknowledge the Fukoff Force as an official military branch within Council space. General Kim maintained his serious expression, though inside he was laughing at the irony. Just 2 years ago, these same aliens had dismissed humans as primitive savages. Now they were studying Earth's chaos doctrine with religious devotion. The ceremony chamber itself reflected this transformation. Alien military observers sat in neat rows, frantically taking notes as they tried to understand how a species that weaponized cat videos and paperwork had become a galactic superpower. Some were still nursing their coffee addictions, while others wore souvenir t-shirts under their formal robes. Supreme Commander, the High Representative continued, "Would you share some insights into your military doctrine?" Kim stepped up to the podium, surveying the eager faces before him. "The principle is simple," he began, watching several alien scribes activate their recording devices. When faced with a logical, organized opponent, become chaos incarnate. The assembled aliens murmured in confusion, exactly as he expected. Behind him, his team struggled to maintain their professional composure. "For example," Kim continued, "while your fleets were practicing precision formation flying, we were teaching our pilots to navigate while solving riddles and making memes. When you developed advanced AI for combat, we confused them with cat videos. When you threatened our colonies, we buried you in paperwork." The alien observers were now frantically recording every word, though their expressions suggested they understood nothing. "Perfect. The true strength of the Fukoff Force," Kim explained, "lies not in our ability to outfight our opponents, but in our talent for making them question their own sanity." He gestured to his team. "Captain Lee's training programs deliberately make no sense. Major Yoon's bureaucratic warfare division has forms that reference forms that don't exist. Commander Song's meme warfare has caused 17 different species to question the nature of reality itself." The High Representative's translator crackled as they tried to process this information. "But how can such chaos be effective?" "Because," Kim smiled, "in a universe that expects logic and order, the unexpected is the ultimate weapon. While you were preparing for rational combat, we were developing weapons-grade confusion." The ceremony continued with presentations from each department. Captain Ho demonstrated the diplomatic power of coffee by serving his special blend to the council members, who soon found themselves agreeing to trade terms they hadn't meant to discuss. Colonel Baz's gift shop statistics showed that the Fukoff Force had actually turned a profit while defending Earth. "The future of warfare," Kim concluded, "isn't about who has the biggest guns or the most advanced technology. It's about who can make their enemies too confused to use their weapons effectively." As he spoke, Lieutenant Jin was quietly distributing feedback forms about the ceremony. Forms that somehow referenced events that hadn't happened yet and required signatures from fictional departments. The alien military observers were now in various states of distress. Some were trying to decode memes that Commander Song had secretly uploaded to their tablets. Others were attempting to fill out Major Yoon's impossible forms. A few were already addicted to Captain O's coffee. In conclusion, Kim announced, "We look forward to sharing our knowledge with our galactic allies. Our first training session on bureaucratic warfare begins in either 2 weeks or 3 days ago, depending on which form you've already failed to file." The chamber erupted in confused discussions as the aliens tried to process this statement. Kim's team stood proudly behind him, each representing a different aspect of Earth's chaotic approach to galactic defense. "Supreme Commander," the High Representative asked hesitantly, "is there any way to predict or counter your strategies?" "Of course," Kim replied with a perfectly straight face. "All the information is available in our public records office, which may or may not exist, on forms that must be requested using forms that can only be obtained by already having them." As the ceremony concluded, Kim watched with satisfaction as alien military officials rushed to study human culture, not realizing that understanding Earth's chaos was impossible by definition. "Sir," Captain Lee whispered, "should we tell them that half our success was just making things up as we went along?" Kim shook his head. "Let them study. The more they try to understand our chaos doctrine, the more effective it becomes. The Fukoff force had achieved something unprecedented. They had made confusion itself into a respected military strategy. As alien species throughout the galaxy attempted to copy their methods, they only succeeded in making themselves more vulnerable to Earth's particular brand of creative chaos. Commander Song. Kim called quietly. Please upload a picture of a cat asking for cheeseburgers to their classified military networks. Label it as Top Secret Earth Military Doctrine. As the confused aliens filed out of the chamber, many clutching coffee cups and souvenir badges, Kim reflected on humanity's journey from dismissed primitives to feared military strategists. Their greatest weakness, their seeming inability to do anything in a logical, organized manner, had become their greatest strength. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly how the Fukoff force liked it.